Hello everyone. Welcome to Sick Fix, aka the tough ones, Tsunderes, and the usual caretakers getting sick. Part 2. You like the first part, so let's carry on with this one. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who still watch my videos. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the uploads and check out the members only posts, now with the confession series. If it wasn't for the prolonging shadows creeping over the bedroom floor, Yaku could have missed he had slept for almost the whole day again. The sickness scorching his body was relentless, and in truth rather annoying since it had prevented him from doing anything but sleeping and occasionally eating for almost the whole week already. It was a lonely week, something he never expected to say. But the doctor and their coach were insistent he healed up properly and without getting disturbed, meaning no one really came to visit him. He had missed 2 matches already, but fortunately their backup libero was skilled and kept them in a good position in the league ranking. He would lie if he said he didn't miss being on court, but after he almost fainted during practice, he couldn't possibly put himself out there unless he was healthy again. What he missed even more though was Lev. I wonder if he's done with all the projects already. It's not a whole week yet, but maybe he finished earlier. He was giving himself false hope, he knew that. Fashion industry was rarely ahead of schedule, but one could always hope. He would give anything to have Lev on the line now, hear his voice and see his face brighten while he talked about this or that he found exciting, even though he would probably fall asleep given his current state. He wished they could talk, even for a minute. But he couldn't go against Lev's wish from his own selfishness, no matter how much agreeing to that request hurt. I might even get better before he calls again. A fit of dry cough broke him in waist, the motion making him lightheaded. Or not. He slumped back into the pillows, too exhausted to move anymore, only to get jolted up again by his phone ringing. Confused, he tapped around the bed before he finally found the correct shape, his heart skipping a beat when he saw Lev's name on the screen. Hey. Mori? Oh, thank goodness. Are you alright? I mean, it could be better, but I'm alive? He furrowed his brow when he registered Lev's panicked tone, wondering if he should turn on the camera or not. Okay, that's good. But what's wrong? I finally had a free moment, so I wanted to watch your matches, but couldn't see you anywhere. Did they pull you out? You've been doing well this month now. Why would they... I've settled down. They had to pull me out. He paused, everything in him protesting against telling Lev about his sickness to not take his mind off of the things he needed to focus on. However, not talking about things only led to bad stuff happening before. And so he sent a request for a video call, a soft smile curling his lips when he finally saw Lev's face after so long. I'm just still sick right now, so playing has to wait. Sick? Yeah, might be flu or something. Feels really shitty, to be honest. Yeah, you don't look well at all. He was worried, that much was obvious from his face, although Yaku wouldn't be surprised if there was a bit of relief too. No wonder. Given the past events, it wouldn't shock him if Lev started to look up Polish news for deaths or missing people if he hadn't picked up. Why didn't you say anything before? That one match was for Monday, so you have to be sick the whole week. You told me not to call you this week, remember? I wasn't sure about texts, so I figured I'd just get better before we talked again. He chuckled, sounding raspy and heavy even to his own ears. I'm not sure about the quick recovery right now. Seems like I underestimated Polish germs. His attempted joke seemed to miss the mark, since Lev looked even more worried now. The emotion mixed with another he wasn't sure how to call. That's... sickness counts as emergency. If I knew you were sick, I would call you. Late at night, during break, whenever. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to leave you alone. Lev, it's fine. I'm not dying. That doesn't matter. And you had to focus on work. Who cares about some stupid ads? We already have so little time together and I didn't even know you're sick. He clenched his jaw, his lips forming a thin line. And then it clicked with Yaku. Guilt. That was the emotion he couldn't identify before. Now perhaps joined by a little bit of anger towards himself. Some things just never changed. Is there at least someone to help you? Guys from the team stop by sometimes to bring me groceries and vitamins, but they mostly stay away to not catch it too. So you've been alone the whole time? Yaku shrugged, or, well, tried to, and settled to lie a bit more comfortably. I manage. I've been mostly alone since I came here. Can I stay with you then? I'll shut up if you need to sleep. I promise I won't bother you, but please let me stay with you. Yaku's heart melted and ached at the same time, the plea reminding him of the time they still lived together in Tokyo. How long ago that felt now. He found himself smiling at the screen despite his whole body feeling like a block of lead, his fingers subconsciously caressing the sweetest face he knew. You know I can never say no to that, right? Just please don't be upset if I fall asleep while you talk. Never. So, do you want to know how we are doing with the ad? Or should I talk about something else? Anything you want to share. Okay. He listened as Lev rambled on about his work, his voice soft and without the usual excited volume changes which Yaku appreciated. But more than anything, he felt himself float on the sound of his beloved's voice, for the first time in the whole week feeling at peace. As enjoyable as running through the rain with his new husband was, it had some unfortunate results. Suguru started to sneeze the very next day as they drove to their honeymoon spot, somewhat derailing their plans of spending the whole week in and out of the onsen baths. Not that Yuji blamed him, obviously. He was just worried about his beloved. Hence why he spent the whole first day of their honeymoon running around and trying to find stuff to help Suguru recover quicker despite his reassurances that he was mostly alright. It was kinda ironic they were starting their married life in sickness, but he made a promise, and he definitely wasn't going to break it. Yuji, I promise it's just some light cold. Even if, it can develop into all kinds of nasty stuff if you don't heal up. I know, but then you should rest too. You said your throat aches. That's usually how the sickness starts. Yuji just sighed in answer and held another spoon to Suguru's mouth again to nudge him to get another bite of the soup he practically begged for in the resort kitchen. This was going on for the last few hours since he let it slip that his throat was scratching. Well, that wasn't exactly the right description. It felt more like he swallowed nails. But Suguru needed him more right now. I'm fine. Now eat, okay? And then get some rest. Suguru still looked like he wanted to protest, the desperate look in his eyes hurting in places Yuji didn't even know about a minute ago. But then just hesitantly accepted the spoon and swallowed the rest of the soup, gripping the blanket immediately after the bowl left his hands. Will you stay with me? Please? Of course. I'll just take the bowl back into the kitchen and come back to you, okay? He wavered a little when he got up, something that seemed to only fuel Suguru's anxiety, judging by the look in his eyes. He quickly tried for a smile and leaned down to kiss the top of Suguru's head, only to startle when slender fingers wrapped around his wrist. What's wrong? Your heart is racing. I'm with you. My heart's always beating faster. Not like this. His grip tightened a little. Leave the bowl for later. Suguru. Please. They'll be looking for it. It's just a minute. I'll be right back. He smiled and carefully pried his hand from Suguru's grasp before he rushed out of the room, feeling rather awful for being the cause of Suguru's current anxiety. But it wasn't like he was lying, right? He was fine. Yeah, his heart was beating a bit faster than usual, but so what? He was just excited to be with his husband and worried about him on top. Of course his heartbeat would pick up some speed. And if he was feeling slightly warmer than usual, only he knew. And that could also be attributed to Suguru's presence. They were married for goodness sake. Yuji, you promised. Yeah, but I don't feel like lying down right now, you know? But I'm still here. That counts, no? No! He clenched his jaw, fidgety and obviously struggling to find the right words, the sight making Yuji restless as well. He didn't want to argue on their honeymoon, or at all for the matter, but Suguru was acting silly now. Every word, every reproach ground his nerves a little more, making him wonder what he was supposed to do to satisfy his husband, since just staying by his side wasn't enough for him. He just didn't want to sleep just yet, or lay around doing nothing. Was that so difficult to understand? Look, I get what you are trying to do, but I'm fine. Are you? He reached over to touch Yuji's forehead. Hey. Your temperature is higher. It's not. Then measure it. Annoyed groan left Yuji's mouth. What kind of gotcha are you playing right now, huh? Is my word not enough anymore? It's not when I can see you are sick. I'm not! Shut it! He froze while his voice still echoed off the walls, dread flooding every cell of his being when Suguru curled into a ball in a flash, a shaky sorry falling from his lips. He instinctively reached out to him, only to freeze in an instant the second Suguru pulled away from him, doing everything to avoid his gaze. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell. I would never... Unsure what he was trying to say, or what he even could say to make it better anyway, he pulled back as far as the bed allowed him, his heart and head pounding and hurting at the same time. I'm not going to hurt you, I swear. Maybe he really was sick. How else could he explain suddenly snapping like this? Or was it just him being a coward and blaming his fuck-up on a non-existent sickness? But that was the lowest on the list of his worries. Couldn't be any higher when his own husband was flinching away from him. I'll go. Stay in bed, okay? Yuji. I'm sorry, I really didn't want this. I know that doesn't make it better, but I am. Then stay here and get your temperature checked. He was still shaken, that much was obvious, but at least he raised his eyes now. A sort of determination in fright Yuji had only seen in him settled on his face. And Yuji couldn't possibly protest anymore. Okay, I'll get a thermometer. About a minute later, he was staring at a borderline scary number on the thermometer screen while Suguru was already busy huddling him into the covers. You're so stubborn sometimes. I swear I didn't feel it. Then why couldn't you listen to me? He sat up, despair glinting in his eyes. Or maybe it was tears, Yuji couldn't tell. Although he wasn't sure which would be worse. Does my word mean so little to you? No, of course not. I'm sorry, love, I really am. I don't know what got into me. I just wanted you to get better and it spiraled so badly, I'm sorry. He hesitated before reaching for Suguru's hand again, his heart aching despite the fact that Suguru didn't flinch or pull away anymore. Can I make it better again? By taking care of yourself. Okay, I can do that. Deep sigh escaped his mouth, the fever and ache in his whole body suddenly dawning on him all at once, draining all of his remaining energy from him. Though maybe you should stay away now. I don't want you to get worse. Not happening. He snuggled to Yuji's side, and if Yuji wasn't already preoccupied by the sickness, he would probably melt there and then. Things were charged more than Suna would like, and for once it wasn't about the faulty electricity at the shop. Ever since he brought up moving location, Osamu seemed cross with him, but in such a strange way he had no idea what to do about it. He could deal with Osamu being upset because of something external, or even with being upset at him personally, but this was different, weird. Almost as if their exchange turned him even more stubborn about the whole thing. As if it wasn't bad enough before already. Why though? Can't he see it's playing with his own life? It maddened him to see Osamu stubbornly charging forward despite the danger. It nearly got to the point he was about to call Atsumu to beat some sense into his brother, but eventually decided against it. Atsumu had his own worries right now. He couldn't stress him out even more with his twin's stupid need to prove everyone wrong. That's not it though, is it? He sighed, feeling drained mentally and physically. Enough so that he had to slap himself to get moving, his step wavering a little when he stood up. Fuck, that's not what I need right now. Even his chest felt heavy, making breathing difficult. His heart thumped into his ribs too, so loud and yet numb as if he was underwater. Was he stressing too much lately? Well, no one could blame him given the situation, right? Or maybe it was just the season, since the days were becoming colder and wetter. Even his thoughts slowed down considerably since yesterday, turning his attention from one issue to another. That's really not what I need right now. You'll be late if you drag like this. Despite the sentence sounding just like any other gentle reminder Osamu gave him every day, his voice was flat as if he was just reading a recipe, yet stinging like a needle. So unlike him that Suna paused for a second. Not my fault. I'm not feeling the best. Heard that one before. Let's see you telling that to your coach. He would understand if I asked. If you say so. Suna stared at him for a moment, and the hope of having a decent conversation dissipating into the thin air. Are you still upset about the moving idea? Upset? No. He dusted off his hands, silently saying it doesn't matter. Go, you'll be late. Swallowing the question whether Osamu wanted him gone so damn bad, Suna just nodded and grabbed his sports bag, his head spinning when he bent down. He hated it. Hated that the restaurant, once Osamu's, and by extension also his pride and joy, was now the source of discrepancies between them. Hated that Osamu apparently couldn't, or refused, to see his point when he was just worried about him. Perhaps he just needed to let the electricity hit him as well, so Osamu could see better how it felt to see one's partner hurt by it. But he wasn't that careless with his own life. Not so far anyway. See you later. The only answer he got was a flat hum. Are you sure you shouldn't go home? You look awful. Thanks. Komori ignored his obvious sarcasm and squatted down in front of him, the bright yellow color of the raging jerseys burning into Suna's retinas. I'm serious. And correct. You can't play like this. Why is everyone ganging up on me? He sighed, feeling his whole body slumping along. It wasn't like his friends weren't correct. Just imagining having to play, even if this was just a practice, made him want to crawl into some tiny dark space. But going home wasn't really an option either. Not when it meant facing Osamu again. He might be on the way to the shop already. The thought sent chills through his body, the urge to get up and rush there to make sure his boyfriend was alright taking over for a moment. Right before he was hit with another wave of the strange weakness that didn't allow him a single step. A large hand gripped his shoulder. Stay down, okay? I am. You know you. You are damp enough to get up. I'll fetch the coach. Wait. He tried to reach for the yellow-white jersey, but only succeeded in grabbing empty air. His body weighed over forward with the sudden motion, his balance all gone. He barely registered Washio's arms around him, a soft, involuntary whine escaping his mouth as he instinctively leaned his head against the broad shoulder. Take it slow. He just nodded, strangely soothed by the deep voice. His last thought belonged to how lucky Konoha was before his senses and body gave up on him completely. Much to Osamu's surprise, he had to work quite fast that day since the shop was as well bursting into seams that afternoon. He wasn't sure if it was the new menu sign he put out or if the gods finally decided to bless him a little again, but he definitely didn't complain despite the increased workload. He was careful, of course he was, and let his employees handle bigger part of the orders. Yet he was still quite certain Suna would grumble if he saw him right now. Well, lucky he's out there practicing now. He paused, stunned by his own fault for a beat. Since when did he mind his boyfriend staying with him in the shop? It always felt so nice when Suna came around, a supportive presence shining through his gluttonous hunt for the onigiri he made. However, things changed a little as of lately. He couldn't ignore that. What used to be peaceful moments turned sour with Suna's need to watch him like a hawk on every step, and his idea to deal with the issue by moving the whole business just sealed his sour mood. It wasn't that simple. Suna of all people should know that. Although he always chose the easy way out, like acting all sickly and weak to avoid practices. It made him feel more heavy-hearted than annoyed though, especially when he needed something from the drawer next to their bed and inevitably spotted the little bag tucked away so that Suna wouldn't find it. Might take a while before he gets used with all of this stuff happening. He flinched when his phone suddenly rang. Given how busy it was, he was ready to just decline the call straight away and get back to it later. But something stopped him before he could tap the button. Instead, he stared at the unknown number on the screen for a second or two, before his thumb hesitantly hovered above the accept button. Yes? Hello, this is Mia-san, I presume? Yes? Who's calling? I'm quite busy right now, so if it can wait a moment... It's Raging Coach, we've met a few times, and I'm afraid it can't wait. Some stilled. Right, I recall. What's wrong? I didn't know you have my number. The other guys shared it with me. I'm calling to let you know that we had to take Suna to a hospital. What? They wanted to call you, but I would rather you hear it from me so you can be sure we did everything to get him help. Wait, what happened? Why hospital? All eyes in the shop turned to him when he raised his voice, but he couldn't care less about it. He got really sick before practice, so we figured the best course of action was to get him to a doctor. He should be alright soon based on what the doctors told us, but he's exhausted and feverish, so I wanted you to know. I see. Thanks for calling me. Central Hospital, correct? Indeed. Could you please make sure he rests well? He's more likely to listen to you than me. Was he, though? After the last week? Right, of course. He ended the call, his hand shaking slightly as his mind struggled to comprehend everything. He should head to the hospital ASAP, make sure his boyfriend was alright. But the shop... Gritting his teeth, he tore the apron from his neck and called at his helpers to mind the counter for some time, himself being already halfway out of the door, fuming. He hated the second of hesitation, his own voice in his head telling him a day like this didn't have to come again and he shouldn't leave the shop. How much lower could he sink to even think that when his loved one was unwell? Maybe it's right to keep a distance after all. He arrived at hospital gasping for breath and with his sides and knee hurting, but also in a record time. He ignored all that though, as the nurses navigated him to the correct room, his heart pounding in his ears the whole way through the numerous hallways. Yet he still froze with his hand on the door, dread creeping through his body with every thump of his heart. He wasn't the only one replaying his words from earlier over and over in his head, that he was sure of. His dismissal of Suna's state that could have ended up tragic if the collapse came earlier and his teammates weren't around to help. But he could ask for forgiveness later. With a soft screech of the hinges, he opened as quietly as possible, taking a quick peek into the room before entering. He expected to be met with a scorching glare, perhaps a little tantrum like back when he fell through the window, but the room was still and completely silent. I guess he's asleep. That's good. He tried to keep his steps light to not make a noise, yet Suna's eyes still opened when he came closer, glossy and confused. Samu? Yeah. He gently covered Suna's hand, half expecting him to pull away. So good. I'll get you up on your feet in no time, you'll see. It's going to be alright. He wasn't sure who he was trying to convince more, although it barely helped himself. You should be at work, no? Sharp pain stunk in Osamu's chest despite being quite sure Suna didn't mean it as a dig into him. Not when you are sick. The guys can take care of it for a few days. Suna seemed torn for a moment, looking like he wanted to say something, but either he decided against it or his strength left him before he could. Although Osamu had a feeling what it was. They know to be careful with electric stuff. Do. I know. He sat down on a nearby chair, not letting go of Suna's hand. You can cuss me out as much as you want when you get better. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm having such a good time with sig fics. It's been a while since I did a proper sig fic, although it depends on what you call proper. But anyway, with upcoming December, Christmas and winter, you could notice I put out a community post about some winter/Christmas specials. You seem to like it, so there will be some specials coming up. I already started writing them and I'm having a blast, so I hope you are looking forward to that. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time!